If you're looking for the best bushcraft knife, here's a list you must see. We made this list based on our personal preference and sorted it based on the features, prices, quality, durability, and reputation of the manufacturers and customer feedback. Also, we've included options for every type of customer. So let's get started. At the first position of our list, we have Morakniv Bushcraft. Many people start their bushcraft journey with a simple Mora companion knife. These can be had for just a few dollars and are perfectly functional knives, and if you never upgraded from a Mora to a more expensive knife with added features, you would not be at a disadvantage. The lightweight, simple design of the Mora knives is sufficient for all sensible bushcraft tasks. The Bushcraft model does offer a few upgrades from the basic model, such as a more tactile, rubberized handle, Triflex steel, and a sheath which includes a sharpener and fire steel to give that extra bit of function demanded by many bush rafters. Even this upgraded Bushcraft model still features a stick tang, and this might be the first reason that someone would look for an upgrade to their bushcraft knife. A full tang, which reaches the whole length of the handle and is visible at the butt end of the knife, does add strength, as does a full-width tang. Realistically though, the full-width tang can be a disadvantage, and you will notice that even Mora's newer Garberg model, which features a long-awaited full-length tang, doesn't feature a tang that reaches the full width of the handle. This prevents your hand coming into contact with cold steel and chilling you in extremely cold temperatures, and you will see it is a universal feature of Scandinavian knives. So don't for a second think that the stick tang of this knife reduces its suitability for bushcrafting. It is a stellar knife in every respect and won't stretch or break your budget like some of the other knives featured here. Also, consider that Mora's pedigree when it comes to knives is faultless, and they have the benefit of years of making some of the most cost-effective and user-friendly knives on the market. The Scandinavian grind is ideal for the kind of light woodworking demanded of a bushcraft knife and versatile enough to be pressed to food prep and camp cooking. You might want to shell out more for a knife with wood or bone handle scales or thicker blade steel, or one with the flat grind that makes it better for working in the camp kitchen, but don't underestimate the Mora. This is arguable the best bushcraft knife and definitely one of the most versatile available today. Moving on to the next at number 2 with Falkkniven F1 3G. This knife is one of the greatest survival knives of all time, but it is also a fantastic bushcraft knife. Issued to Swedish Air Force pilots as their survival knife, since 1995 the original F1 features a blade of laminated VG10 steel. Laminated blades offer a very hard edge of harder steel sandwiched between softer steel, which gives the knife more flexibility and protects the more brittle edge, and this gives a knife excellent edge retention, as well as strength. This particular version of the F1 features a blade of 3G steel, laminated powder steel, which is an upgrade from the original VG10, and offers a harder edge of 62 HRC on the Rockwell hardness scale. The convex edge of this knife might not be the typical grind for a Scandinavian knife, but actually, over time even knives with perfect flat bevels become slightly convex over time with repeated sharpening. The benefit of this kind of convex grind is that it keeps plenty of metal behind the edge of the blade, making it very strong and therefore unlikely to roll or chip even if the blade steel is quite hard. The full-length tang is surrounded by a handle of thermaron plastic, leaving an exposed pommel, but no other steel to chill your hand. Its 3.8-inch blade is perfect for bushcraft, and this knife won't ever let you down. The number 3 position is held by Helle Temagami. The Tamagomi is another cultural mashup, made by Helle, one of Norway's largest and most popular knife makers, designed in association with celebrity survivalist and outdoorsman Les Stroud and named after a province in northeastern Ontario, Canada. For its modest price, it is a fantastic knife featuring triple laminated steel, which some other companies would charge a fortune for. It features a slightly clipped point and Scandinavian grind, as well as a very well thought out handle and tang. Similar to the Mora Garberg, the designer and producers understand the need to keep the cold steel of the blade out of contact with the bare skin of the user's hand as much as possible. To achieve this, a full-length tang is fitted into a curly birch handle through a slot in the upper edge of the handle, That slot, however, only reaches 2/3 of the way through the handle, leaving the bottom edge of the handle to be contoured perfectly to fit the hand and not allow the tang to contact the skin. This method, just as with the Garberg, protects the user's hand from the cold tang while still offering the strength of a full tang blade. Les Stroud's real-life survival skills twinned with Helle's generations of experience has produced a really fantastic knife without any negatives as far as I can tell. If you're looking for the best bushcraft knife and love that classic elegant look and feel of a real hardwood handle, then the Helle Temagami has to be at the top of your list. Next at number 4 we have ESEE PR4. The PR4 is based very closely on Horace Kephart's design for his ideal knife and features a 4-inch cutting edge and a blade of 1095 carbon steel. This optimum size, it meets Kephart's requirements for a smaller knife, and the spear point isn't overtly stabby nor in any way oriented towards combat. The pouch sheath will ride quite high on your belt, and of course, just as with any other sheath, you should consider how you will carry this knife to make it comfortable and accessible. The PR4 is part of ESEE's Camp Lore series, which includes other traditional knife designs suitable for bushcraft and camping. The individual knives in the series take their names from their designers, in this case, Patrick Rollins, hence PR, and from the length of their blade giving the PR4. The series includes the CR 2.5, a small bird and trout-style knife designed by Cody Rowan of Rowan Manufacturing, the company behind the production and heat treat of ESEE knives. The RB3 designed by Ruben Bolu, and a departure from ESEE's typical saber ground blades featuring a Scandinavian grind perfect for woodworking and bushcraft. The JG3 is the final knife in the lineup designed by James Gibson, the lead instructor for Randall's Adventure and Training, a company closely associated with ESEE. The JG3 is reminiscent of French trade knives and features a drop-point blade that would be perfect for skinning and preparing game. The PR4 is the largest and most robust of the series, and of the whole series is the most versatile. While it is very similar to Horace Kephart's original design, there are a few differences, such as the saber grind. Looking at the surviving Kalklasser brothers' original knives, we can see that they had a flat grind. The saber grind on this knife increases the thickness of the steel behind the edge of the knife, and makes it stronger, although it also reduces its slicing ability somewhat. The micarta handles are scalloped and sculpted to provide a secure grip even if the knife is wet, and will also be hygienic, and will not chill your hand too badly. ESEE's reputation for exceptional quality control on their knives guarantees you a knife that will last you a lifetime, and their lifetime warranty backs that up. The number 5 position is held by Mora Garberg. The Garberg is Mora's answer to a full tang knife. It was released in 2016 as the answer to countless requests for a full tang knife from the Swedish knife-making giant who has been making knives since 1891. There is a trend in survival knives for thick spines and full tangs nowadays. Please do be aware that the kind of things she was doing to her knife was definitely abuse, and no knife should be put through that. In a bushcraft scenario, you will have other tools such as an axe or saw to do the heavier work, and in a survival situation you would be very foolish to abuse your most essential tool in a way that will guarantee to damage it if not completely destroy it. The fact that the Garberg isn't completely destroyed by these silly tests though is a testament to its strength. The full tang and thick blade is a significant upgrade to the standard companion knife from Mora in terms of strength, but it honestly doesn't make it more useful than the companion for most sensible bushcraft tasks. In fact, that deeper blade on the Garberg reduces its utility as a carving and whittling blade compared to the pointier companion or bushcraft models. It certainly is stronger and more robust than other Mora Bushcraft knives, and has received rave reviews, and is actually a fantastic knife to use. Its handle completely encompasses the tang of the blade, except for the exposed pommel, and this actually may cause some people to criticize this knife and claim it doesn't have a full tang, because the tang isn't the full width of the handle. In actual fact, though, this just shows that the designers have done what they know is best for an outdoor knife by providing a handle that won't chill your hand by exposing it to the metal edges of a tang. That will ultimately be up to you and your wallet, and this is a fantastic knife for the money, especially when compared with knives from other manufacturers. The number 6 position is dominated by American knife company Forrest. The Forest was the first knife for the American knife company established by Jim Noka with the aim of producing high-quality knives. This knife, like the Skookum bush tool, was specifically designed according to the description of an ideal or best bushcraft knife given by Mors Kahansky. Its continuous curve is perfect for working wood, and as well as a full tang, the knife features a solid metal pommel that could be used for striking, grinding, and smashing if required. These features alone make this a very strong choice for a bushcraft knife. The A2 steel isn't a super steel, but is perfectly adequate for a bushcraft knife, and is easy to sharpen and maintain in the field. The micarta handles are very robust and shaped to perfectly fit and fill the hand without any unnecessary contours, grooves, or finger guards which limit the versatility of knives for carving and whittling. These always make it difficult to adjust your grip, and inevitably a handle that is contoured to be held in the fist will be less comfortable in a chest lever grip or other grips. Not so with this knife, which can be comfortably held in just about any position. These knives are built for, and to the specifications, from the American Knife Company, and as such you can expect a high-quality product. Bark River are a semi-custom knife maker producing dozens of models and hundreds of handle materials and several blade steel options, and quite rightly have one of the best reputations of all American knife makers. They have done a good job on this knife, and it will be a real asset to you in the woods and wilderness. It is an expensive knife though, perhaps more expensive than its A2 tool steel and micarta handle really justifies. Other than its price, its sheath maybe it's the only drawback, not in terms of its quality or materials, but because it rides so high on a belt that the pommel of the knife will poke you in the side and could cause considerable discomfort. So if this is the knife for you, then you might want to consider an aftermarket sheath that will be more comfortable, or a danger to allow it to hang below the level of your belt. Moving on to the next at number 7 with Tops TPUK01 Tanimboca Puukko. There is no doubt where this offering from Tops takes its inspiration. It's in the name, and also clear from the appearance of the knife. The quality of Tops knives is a matter of well-established fact among collectors and users of knives alike, and this knife will certainly do everything you require of it for bushcrafting. Its 1096 carbon steel blade and pseudo-Scandi grind, which features a higher than usual Scandinavian-style grind, but with the addition of an edge bevel as well. Tops don't make any pure Scandinavian ground knives, and because the grind height on this knife is that bit higher than it would be on a traditional Puukko, it does actually need this extra bevel to add strength to the edge, which could be fragile with such a fine, narrow edge. Although it bears the Puukko name, its design history is much more multicultural than you might expect. The designer is Goran Mihajlovic, a Serb who grew up in Germany, and who now lives in Colombia and owns a nature reserve called Tanimboca. While the blade profile is similar to traditional Puukkos, the handles are more typical of American knives with red-lined micarta scales secured in place by Phillips head screws. These screws don't require any proprietary tools to remove the handles, and this was an important design criteria for a knife designed as much for use in the jungles of Colombia as it is for the boreal forests of Finland. The hot, humid jungle climate requires you to take very good care of your blades and tools to avoid rust, especially if your knife is made from a steel like 1095, which can rust quite easily. Being able to clean dirt and grime, and to make sure there is no moisture trapped between the handle scales and steel tang is really important. Being able to apply oil to the tang by easily removing the handle scales could be a really useful feature in the rainforest, although using stainless steel might also have been a good option if this knife was designed for humid conditions. It might be strange to be discussing using a Puukko in the rainforest, but the designer Goran Mihajlovic obviously has great taste in knives, as he prefers Puukko knives as they are so versatile and offer great performance in a wide variety of cutting tasks. The Tanimboca Puukko features a divot in its handle for use as a bow drill bearing block, something I would avoid using it for. Using an unsheathed knife as a bearing block is just plain dangerous, and having to unthread your sheath from your belt to contain your knife while you use it to light a bow drill fire is just going to get annoying. While Tops knives do have a great reputation, one thing that often lets them down is the cheap, poorly constructed nylon sheaths that some of their knives come with. Luckily, this knife is paired with a high-quality leather sheath which won't let you down. The number 8 position is held by Morakniv Classic No. 2. The traditional Mora knife may look a bit old-fashioned compared to some of their more modern offerings like the Garberg and the Bushcraft, but this style of knife has been used by Swedes for generations, and when combined with other bushcraft tools such as an axe and saw really will do everything you need in the woods. From skinning to working wood it will excel. The Scandinavian grind is particularly good for working wood, and the lack of any finger guard really shouldn't be seen as the disadvantage that some people might fear it is. Finger guards are often missold as a vital feature of a knife, but if you are careful and paying attention when you are using your knife, there really is no excuse of accidentally grabbing the blade. Another reason to have a finger guard is to stop you slipping up onto the blade if you are using the knife for stabbing. Now just take a good look at this knife. It isn't for stabbing. The closest to stabbing you should be doing with this knife is using the point for lifting birch bark. The plastic sheath can be threaded through a belt or hung on a piece of cord around your neck, but doesn't provide great retention, and these knives are prone to falling out of their sheaths, so do be aware of that. I get around this by using the paracord neck lanyard that I use to carry my Mora to secure the knife in the sheath. With the knife in place, a little bit of the paracord can be looped over the handle in a quick clove hitch, and the knife will never slip out. I don't normally like carrying knives around my neck, but this knife is so light you hardly notice it, and neck carry puts it in a really convenient place to access it while you are working on craft projects. Next at number 9 we have Camillus Bushcrafter. This knife draws its inspiration from Nesmuk's knife. You can see the blade profile with its humped spine reminiscent of frontier and modern butcher knives, but other than that general profile on closer inspection it doesn't have a lot in common with Nesmuk's knife. The blade steel is very thick and features a Scandinavian grind instead of the flat grind that would almost certainly have features on Nesmuk's knife, as it was his dedicated to gutting, skinning and preparing game. It does feature one of the best leather sheaths I have ever used, very robust, nicely tanned and very thick and sturdy. The blued steel is a nice touch, and when combined with the natural micarta scales and unique shape gives this knife a certain ESEE that I haven't seen in many other knives. Finally, the number 10 position is dominated by Bark River Bravo 1. Bark River has a fantastic reputation for making semi-custom knives and probably offers more options in terms of steel, handle material, and style of knives than any other company. Their knives are very well thought out and all handmade to a high standard. They also feature convex edges on almost all their knives, a grind that is incredibly strong and functional as well as being difficult to produce to a good standard. The fact that their convex edges are so good is a good sign that you are getting something special when you choose a Bark River knife. They do make a dedicated bushcraft model, but there is just something about their Bravo 1 that I think is better. The blade shape appeals to me personally, but also from a purely functional point of view offers slightly more belly for skinning and camp kitchen tasks as well as a fine point for wood carving. Some may find the thumb ramp to be uncomfortable or restrict the grips you can use, but Bark River offers plenty of options even on this model, and the Bravo 1 can be had without a thumb ramp as well. The knife pictures here have green micarta handles, but Bark River makes their knives in an unprecedented array of handle materials, and I would defy anyone to find a handle for a Bark River knife that they don't like. That's all for today. We upload product review videos every single day. So don't forget to subscribe and hit the bell icon for the upcoming video notification.